Hi, welcome to Awakening with me, Melissa Virtue. I just finished recording dream symbols, and then this arose from that. And it's something that's been moving for the last couple of weeks, like a river, river flowing. And in fact, there's this song that I sing to my son, the Wild Goose Flight. And I was thinking about it since I've been singing it. It's been really becoming very potent. The wild goose flight. And thinking about the power of the wingspan of a goose and the flock of geese that fly together. They help each other out. And one will take point leadership while the rest follow. But it's not really a following, it's just a moving towards the same goal, same home, the same nourishment or similar nourishment. And as this goose becomes leader, then it moves to the back when it's tired and another leader comes up. And they change these leadership positions, right? So within it, it's like this round table. None of the geese are above the others. The younger geese that are just, it's their first flight, right? In migration, they're in the middle. So protected and surrounded by the wisdom of the other geese. And I just think about the power of the wingspan, because my son was asking me, how big is the wingspan? And how the Native Americans would take their canoes and made of white birch bark. Not all of them were, but I'm going to use this one, the white birch bark. There's a story of, oh my goodness, now I'm going to say it incorrectly, Taiwakana. And yes, I'm thinking, I'm not even going to pronounce his first name, but he came and taught these people about canoes. And anyway, white birch bark, which birch is very sacred. This tree is very sacred and has its own essence. So I invite you to look up or to do some research on what white birch means. And they would get into the white birch bark canoes and they would paddle along the rivers, singing and following what they called the wild goose flight. And to me, it's the wild heart. Their wild heart, where their open-heartedness and their wings expand from their heart like the caduceus. And because of our spine being the staff of the caduceus, right? And then the intertwining of the serpent and, pineal gland and all of this, but the wings extending from the heart. Because at that moment, the Native American peoples know it's time to take flight. It's time to follow our wild hearts and the flight that it needs to take now. And so thinking about all of this symbolically, because there's a story that I was sharing with my son, and it's, when I was retelling it, I was thinking, this is cosmic. I mean, of course, everything's cosmic, but that's fascinating too. I take that as a message. Pay attention. Alert, very important, right? Following your heart, following your wild heart, no matter what anybody else says or thinks, or, you can listen and you can take it in if you choose to, or you can leave it. Being open-hearted to see different perspectives of it, but follow your wild heart. So I was thinking about this and how they're in the water. And this is basically a star being that's come to teach these people, because at the end of the story, he gets into his white birch bark canoe and they want him to be a leader. And he said, no, my time is done. I've done all I came here to do. Now you need to choose the wisest women, and they are your advice givers and peacemakers. And then he got into his white birch bark and began to float out into the river, and then it began to lift up into the sky as it began to glow brighter and brighter and brighter. It lifted up into the sky and disappeared behind clouds. And if you'd like to know who the peoples were, I'm happy to share that with you. But anyway, they had their own language, see, and they had forgotten over time that they were one people. And he came back to remind them that they were one people. And they spoke. And my son did ask me, what language did they speak? And they spoke a star language. And so then they did create a language for others. But anyway, so they would get into this white birch bark boat, canoe. That's interesting to say. And they would paddle along the river. And the paddle represents, of course, it's made of tree. It's wooden. And so there's an essence to it. It represents like a wand, a direction, a way to focus energy, right? And they're putting it into the water. So to me, it's dipping it into the water codes that's connected to the sea, the inner water of the earth that's rising up for us to move along. It's so many things I could share about water, right? And so there they are in the boat, paddling, following their wild heart, where they need to go next. And so I invite you, where is your wild heart calling you? Where is your wildness calling you? And what does it feel like in your body? And I invite you to feel it in your body and to then move once you feel it rising in your body, to move and allow yourself to move. Allow yourself to feel what that wildness feels like and how it wants to come out and move. And follow your wild heart flight. And Goose is about community. It's about following your wild path. They're about wingspan, time to follow it, time to move. But move can be symbolic or literal. So many goose blessings, magic, and medicine to you. I heart bow to you. I'd love to hear your comments below. Read them, hear them. I can hear them, actually. I can hear you talking when I read them. So I'd love to see them. I'd love to know where your wild heart is calling you. Many blessings.